Last month, I was going through my grandmother's old recipe box, the actual wooden one, with her handwriting on index cards, and I realized something. In 40 years of cooking for 6 kids, I cannot find a single recipe of hers that uses a single ingredient I now have to squint at the label to understand. Meanwhile, I opened my own pantry that same afternoon and pulled a random item off the shelf, and the ingredient list had 19 things in it. 19. For something that's supposed to just be a sauce. So I started going through my kitchen, item by item, comparing it to what I remember watching her cook with, and 12 things I own right now she would have looked at like I'd lost my mind. Stick around, because number 1 is something I bought literally every single week for the last decade, and I had no idea what I was actually doing. I want to be upfront. I'm not saying everything modern is bad and everything old is good. That's too simple, and honestly, a little lazy. But going through this list made me realize how much I just stopped questioning what's in my food, because it's easier not to. My grandmother didn't have that luxury. She had to know exactly what was in everything because she was the one putting it there. Number 12, bottled Italian dressing. I checked mine after this whole thing started. Soybean oil is the first ingredient, then sugar, then a list of preservatives longer than the actual seasoning. She made hers with olive oil, vinegar, and whatever herbs were growing outside her back door. Took her under a minute. I've been paying $4 for flavored oil for years without thinking twice about it. Number 11, margarine. This one actually surprised me when I looked into it, because for decades we were all told margarine was the smart choice over butter. She never touched it, used real butter her whole life. Turns out a lot of that advice has quietly reversed over the last 20 years. She was just right before it was popular to say so. Number 10, non-dairy powdered creamer. I grew up watching her make coffee with real cream, sometimes just a splash of milk if that's what she had. The powdered stuff didn't exist for most of her life, and even after it did, she wouldn't touch something that turned a liquid into a shelf-stable powder using ingredients she couldn't pronounce. I used it every morning for years because it was convenient. It's mostly oil and corn syrup solids. Number 9, canned cream of soups as a cooking base. I use these constantly, in casseroles, in sauces, as a shortcut. She made her own white sauce from butter, flour, and milk, 3 ingredients. 5 minutes, no can required. I always assumed the canned version was just a time saver with no real downside. It's mostly water, starch, and sodium. Number 8, flavored yogurt cups. She made her own yogurt, believe it or not, cultured it herself on the counter. What we buy now in those little cups often has more sugar per serving than a candy bar, which is wild for something marketed as a health food. I switched to plain yogurt with real fruit stirred in myself, and it genuinely tastes better once you get used to it. Number 7, pre-packaged deli meat. She roasted whatever meat she was serving that week and sliced leftovers for sandwiches. The processed stuff in the plastic packaging didn't really exist the way it does now. And when I actually read the label on what I'd been buying, sodium and preservatives were doing a lot of the work to keep it fresh for weeks in that package. Number 6, vegetable oil for everything. She cooked with butter, lard, and olive oil depending on what she was making. Vegetable and seed oils weren't really part of her kitchen at all. They came later, marketed as the healthy modern choice. I'd used vegetable oil as my default for basically everything, without ever asking why. I've since switched most of my cooking back to what she used. Number 5, boxed mac and cheese. I'm not going to pretend I didn't love this as a kid, and honestly, still do sometimes. But she made hers from real cheese, butter, and milk, melted right into the noodles. The orange powder packet is doing a lot of chemical work to fake that flavor and color without any actual cheese in it. Once I made it her way, I genuinely couldn't go back to the box. Number 4, fruit juice as a daily drink. She served juice as an occasional treat, not a daily staple, and usually squeezed it herself when fruit was in season. What we buy now is often mostly sugar, with a small amount of actual juice added back in. I drank a glass of orange juice every single morning for years, thinking I was doing something healthy. Number 3. White bread with a long ingredient list. Her bread was flour, water, yeast, salt, sometimes a little butter, or milk. 4 or 5 ingredients made fresh. Store-bought sandwich bread now often runs 15 to 20 ingredients to stay soft and fresh on a shelf for 2 weeks. That shelf life should have been my first clue. Something was different. Number 2. Instant flavored gelatin and pudding cups. These were treats in her kitchen too, but the homemade version, real fruit, real cream, actual gelatin. The instant packets are mostly sugar, artificial color, and flavoring designed to mimic fruit without containing much of it. Number 1, and this is the one I actually didn't see coming, bottled ranch and creamy salad dressings. I put this on literally everything for years' salads, as a dip, even on sandwiches sometimes. I finally sat down and read the label properly. 11 ingredients, most of them stabilizers to keep a dairy-based product shelf-stable without refrigeration until you crack the seal. My grandmother's version was buttermilk, herbs, a little mayonnaise she made herself, mixed fresh and used within a few days. I've been eating a shelf-stable chemistry project on my salad for over a decade and calling it a healthy choice. I'm not going to pretend I've replaced every single one of these overnight. Some of them are genuinely more convenient. And I'm not interested in making my life harder just to prove a point. But going through this list changed how I read labels now. I actually look now instead of just trusting that if it's on the shelf, it must be fine. Which one of these surprised you most? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if there's something your own grandmother made from scratch that you still miss, I'd love to hear about it.